We're delighted to be here today with N.D. Wilson, author, filmmaker, professor, and perhaps a few other roles that we don't know yet. So we're going to spend the next few minutes just talking about what does it mean to be a Christian communicating in the fields of art and artistic expression, and how do we do so to the glory of God. So Nate, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much.
And we're going to talk about some of the things that you've been talking about recently, especially as it relates to how do Christians, in this case, talk about their use of imagination as an expression of God's character in communicating with the world. But we're going to focus a little bit more on some of the issues that might revolve or involve working on books, but also your films that you're doing, and try to see those from a perspective that perhaps hasn't been viewed maybe as well in the past as we think it should be. Well, first question I want to ask you is, what's your primary vocation?
Garbage man. Yeah, I'd say I'm a writer because I end up mostly writing novels and films.
So you see that as kind of your full-time activity and the other things you do as
so I can
hobbies?
say storyteller, writer,
Okay.
general misbehavior, other things like that.
How about your professorial work?
Some, but I think I teach primarily to make myself get out of the house. You know, it'd be, or the office. It'd be very easy to just get absorbed in creation and abandon human content, you know, just human contact, I should say. So getting out, talking to freshmen at New St. Andrews, talking to upperclassmen about creative writing. I do a film engagement class this next year, creative nonfiction, fiction, but those are usually pretty short intensives that I'm able to fit into my schedule. It's not really a true profession. So I'm grateful for them. It's a great opportunity, and I love the contact with the students. Keeps me sane.
Who do you write for? And who do you make films for?
Okay. Man, it should be an easy question, right? Generally, there's a specific need or a thing that provokes my imagination. So there's a sentence, and then I think, man, this would be a great story. This could grow. This could go this direction or that direction. And then I choose a target audience. Like, for whom should I be writing this? This should be for 12-year-old boys. Like, this would be good for these boys. Or this should be for a broader adult marketplace, I think, that misunderstands conversion or, you know, fill in the blank. When I wrote Notes from the Tilt-A-Whirl, which is nonfiction, I was writing basically to my friends for, you know, through college and graduate school who were sort of daunted by philosophers, had been negatively affected by a lot of their philosophy clubs and, you know, Kant, that kind of thing. So I'd been in those discussions and with those guys and a lot of good friends there, and I was writing for them, but years later. You know, so I was writing back into those moments for people who might be there now. Whereas I was writing to my 5th grade self with Lee Pike Ridge and 100 cupboards. So the films are a little different. Hound of Heaven, I'm writing, you know, that was a film created to aggressively target people who feel abandoned, who are trying to escape God and simultaneously feel abandoned by Him. It's kind of an odd thing that happens when people slip away, where they're running and being pursued is simultaneously terrifying and reassuring. You know, so they're trying to escape, but the one thing more terrifying than being pursued is if they weren't being pursued. You know, so that the poem, The Hound of Heaven, is a great masterpiece about being pursued by an aggressive, destructive God. And so that was, you know, we're trying to target the same people that the poem was targeting years ago.
So you've talked about your audiences consisting of people in different age categories or different states in life, but you didn't delineate anything whether they're believers or non-believers. Is that a consideration you make?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're trying to cook food, which I am, do you care who eats it? You know, if I'm trying to just grill the best steaks I can grill, and I'm trying to get better at that, then when people come through the line and I'm handing them steaks, if the food is good, it doesn't matter whether it's edifying, you know, somebody who's already in the faith, somebody who's outside the faith, somebody who's slipping away, it's food. Story is edification. Story is food for the imagination. So if I'm succeeding in making wholesome, edifying imagination food, then it doesn't matter to me who's in the line.
And what do you have as your hoped-for outcome, then, of the things that you write and produce?
Fed people. So just to continue the food metaphor, if I'm cooking, if I'm just willing to be a cook in a kitchen in a cafeteria trying to feed as many people as I can, I want as many people not hungry afterward. So if I'm trying to feed people, I want them fed afterwards. The goal is to have imaginations fed, imaginations provoked, imaginations edified. Which is very futile, by the way. So again, it's like I'm not trying to create a lasting legacy. Sure, that'd be great, but that would be great only because more people are being fed later. So Lewis is currently feeding people. He's long gone, but his work is still feeding people. That would be wonderful. But I don't think Lewis cared about literary legacy. Like, what will they think of me? He cared about feeding people. So if that continues on after me, or that lasts a long, long time, if my goal is to feed as many people as possible, that doesn't just mean in the moment. That means next year and the year after. And if I have a stack of novels now that are done, I hope they continue to feed. Not just feed when they release, and not just feed in that first year, but feed 10 years later, feed my grandkids, feed my great-grandkids, feed my descendants after I'm gone, and this is the only way they know me at all. That's the goal.
Maybe it would be helpful for me if you'd kind of flesh out what you mean by that metaphor.
Food? Well, I think we need stories. We yearn for stories because they groom our loyalties. They groom our dreams, our aspirations, our desires, our ambitions, and also our hatreds, our self-rationalizations, our justifications. They groom those things too. So if you need stories to train your instincts towards your loves, like what should you love, what should you hate, what should you be loyal to, what should you turn your back on, you see characters doing that, then that's what I mean by food. So there's this hunger for that instruction. There's a hunger for those examples. And when you write them and craft them into these little incarnations, it's really like I say, I don't remember where I said it, but I probably stole it from somebody smarter than me, but that stories are our best chance at incarnations. These are our words made flesh, gifts to be unwrapped in the imagination. You give this to a kid and you say, here, read it. And they fall in love with these characters and this adventure, and they watch these characters live this story and these examples, and they leave with with a sparkle in their eyes and a hunger to live, an excitement. And they have energy. If you energize the imagination, I think that's the same. That's the food metaphor there. So if I'm giving them imagination energy, then I'm giving them sustenance.